Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talk. Thanks very much for being here, and happy to have you. Today, we're going to talk about something I think everybody, or at least almost everybody, could benefit from, and maybe that almost everybody struggles with, and that is learning to love yourself unconditionally. I think most of the time, we, as people, are our own harshest critics. We don't give ourselves a lot of appreciation for the things we do. Sometimes we are very hard on ourselves when we feel like we haven't been productive or accomplished a lot of things. And that's a really dangerous and not good place to step into. So I think I'd like to talk to you all today about walking out of that place and how to get to a place where you love yourself unconditionally. Now, I think there's a lot of stigma that surrounds love. We love our relatives. We love our friends. Sometimes we love people we've never met before. We love celebrities. We love our spouses, our children. And we have lots of room for them. We have lots of grace for them. You know, if our kids or our spouse or our brothers or mothers and whoever in our family messes up, we have grace for them. We don't stop loving them because we think that they didn't go for a run that day. We don't stop loving them because they ordered takeout instead of taking the time to cook dinner. We don't stop loving them when they make a mistake. And I think, unfortunately, that sometimes we forget to give ourselves the same grace. We're really hard on ourselves. We say, oh, I didn't get to the gym today. I'm not okay with that. You get angry and you stop loving yourself and you give yourself conditions for your love, and that's really detrimental. So when you look at yourself, you are a beautiful creature who overcomes things every single day. You start your day at whatever time, and as you cruise throughout the day, you go to work. Sometimes you go to sports for your children. You go to a first job, a second job. Sometimes you go to a third job. You have all these things that you do during the day. You go to meetings. You fulfill your obligations, and you make time for your commitments, and you do things around the house, and you keep your house and your children and your family and your spouse moving forward. And whatever your situation looks like, and everybody's is obviously different, somewhere in there we push ourselves way back to the bottom. There's a quote I love. It's a question that says, if I asked you to name the people and the things in your life that you love, how long would it take you to name yourself? And let's be honest, some days we don't feel our best. Some days we feel tired, overwhelmed, worn out, burned out. We just don't feel great. But even if we don't feel great, you are still someone who is worthy of being loved, especially by yourself. And when it comes to how we love ourselves and how we look at ourselves, I want you to start taking away the conditions. You know, a lot of us, I think, look in the mirror and say, okay, well, I'll like myself a lot better if I lose 10 pounds. I'll like myself a lot better if I get rid of this red patch on my skin. I will like myself a lot better if I can just find clothes that make me look nice. I'll like myself better if I get promoted. All of those things, we give ourselves conditions of loving ourselves. And I want you to stop doing that. You are such a complex and beautiful creature. All of us are. And there is no shortage sometimes of things we don't like about ourselves. Some people are different than others. I try very hard to make sure I remember to give myself some kindness and grace. But we all have things about ourselves we don't like. Our height, our weight, our size, sometimes the sound of our voice, sometimes the things we wish we were better at, sometimes the things we wish we weren't so good at because we get stuck doing them all the time. Everybody has things about themselves that they are not quite as happy with as they could be, and that's okay. But I want to encourage you, instead of looking at those things as conditions to be met in order for you to love yourself or to be kind to yourself or to give yourself some grace, look at those things as things you'd like to improve on. And the way you can improve on them is by supporting yourself. We all know that people in our life do great things when they feel supported. We cheer for our kids on the sports field or the basketball court or the baseball field, the soccer field or football, whatever they play. We cheer for our children to do well in school. We lift them up and we support them and we say, you're doing a great job, keep going. We don't say, hey, if you get all straight A's, then I will love you. We don't say, hey, if you score 4 goals today or 10 points today, then I'll love you. That's not the way it works. So be cognizant of the fact that putting yourself in a different light is pretty dangerous, because then you get to a place where you think that you have to do X, Y, and Z in order for you to deserve either your own love or someone else's love or rest or whatever it happens to be. And one of the really difficult things about this is I think we do this a lot with the reward system for ourselves. If I check all 28 things off my to-do list, then I can take a nap. If I get dinner done and cooked and feed the family and then do all the dishes and then vacuum and clean off the counters and pick things up, then I can pour myself a glass of wine and relax for a few minutes. If I send out all 8 emails that I need to and finish up this last project for work because it's 5 o'clock already, but I'm not going to log off, I have to stay until it's done. Once I get all this done and everybody's happy and everybody has their reports and their emails, then I'll find myself something to eat. We put so many conditions and so many parameters on when we will allow us to take time to do the things that we consider self-love and self-care that we can get to a really dangerous place. If you're tired, sleep and rest. If you're hungry, eat. Don't by any means say that, well, I need to only be able to take a nap if I do 25 things first. I have learned in my life, and it took me a long time to learn, that rest is not a reward. Rest is a necessity. If you don't rest when you need to, your body will rest when it wants to. It will make it impossible for you to do everything else. It will get run down. You'll get sick. You'll get burned out. You'll get a cold, the flu, whatever it is. If you don't take the time to rest along the way and make sure you are feeling good and happy and content and okay, physically, mentally, emotionally, your body will tell you on its own, guess what? It's time. Now you're not going to do anything. You're going to be so down and out you can't do one dish, let alone the whole sink full of dishes. You couldn't vacuum one room, let alone the whole house. We're going to knock you down a peg and make you rest. And that's a really difficult place to be in, too, because nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be so worn out and burned out that they can't rest and they can't be productive. So along the way of loving yourself, and this isn't a redefining moment. It certainly doesn't have to be. If it is, that's beautiful, and I love that. But remember that it can be so simple. It can be little things along the way that you can do to check in with yourself to make sure you are not putting too much pressure on yourself to always do things first and then on the backside be able to be content and take some time to rest or whatever. I'd like to say this right now, and I'm probably going to say it again towards the end of the episode. Productivity does not equal worth. You do not only get to be a worthy person or worth other people's time and energy or worth their love or your own love if you can measure up and put some random hypothetical mark of productivity on your day. Get out of that mindset altogether. Productivity does not equal worth. You are worthy from the moment you wake up in the morning. You have so many things that you accomplish, and a lot of times we overlook so many of them because we find them routine. We think, oh, this is just what I have to do to get through the day. And sometimes it is. We have little things that we kind of do automatically that we go through, but they are still accomplishments. They are still things to be proud of yourself for, and they're still things that if you didn't do them, nobody else would do them, and that's something to celebrate. So remove the conditions from the ability to love yourself and be proud of yourself and take the time for yourself. It's pretty backwards to say that you will give your love and energy to other people in your life without conditions, without saying, hey, I'm not going to stop loving you if you don't score a bunch of points in today's basketball game if it's your child. I'm not going to stop loving you if you don't get promoted at work, honey. I'm not going to stop loving you. I'm not going to stop making space for you if you plan to do this really great, grandiose project and it fell through and it didn't work out. We don't do that to the people in our lives. Some people, maybe they do. If they don't, I'd like to encourage you not to. But we do that with ourselves a lot. And I think the way we measure our own worth sometimes can be so difficult to frame for other people. We would never expect someone else in our life that was a friend of ours or someone who loved us to give us a list of things that we were supposed to do before we could, quote unquote, earn their love or their kindness or their attention. If they're part of your life, that kind of comes with the whole package, right? That comes with the friendship, that comes with the marriage, that comes with the relationship, whatever that happens to look like. We would never dream of giving people that list either, of saying, hey, by the way, you do these 10 things and then I'll think I'll like you a little more. It sounds so backwards, but when we compare it to our own lives, we do it all the time. Okay, if I lose 10 pounds, I'll like myself better. If I get to the gym every single day this month, I'll like myself better. If I can earn more money, if I can, be a better parent, and I'm not saying to stop working on yourself and just give up and say, I have to love me for me. That's also not the message. I want you to love yourself without boundaries or love yourself without conditions. Removing those conditions means looking at yourself and understanding full well that it's okay to have things about yourself you'd like to change, that you'd like to improve on, that you'd like to be better at. That's okay. Growth is beautiful. Growth is necessary. Growth is appreciated. Growth is a good thing for you to work towards. You should have an aim. It should be at least a little bit higher than where you are right now, and all those things are okay. You don't have to settle for where you are right now or your current weight or your current job. You can change all of that. But the point of looking at yourself and removing the conditions of your own love or your own self-value and self-worth is to be comfortable with the person you are right now and understand that you are going to move forward and aim up and make some changes. It's okay to want to make changes. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a great part of life. Growth and opportunity and changing and reaching our goals will set you on fire and make you so happy. So I always think people should reach, and I always think people should try. Send the email, apply for the job. Whether or not you think you're going to ever get it, go out on a limb and chase that opportunity. All those things are okay, but do it from the standpoint of looking at your current self in that very moment and saying, man, you are a beautiful human. You know that? Look at you out here chasing your dreams and your goals and working every single day to get the things accomplished that you want to accomplish and to find places that you can improve and to lose weight or gain muscle or have a better relationship with your kids or get a new job. Look at you, you beautiful human you. And I think we get so lost sometimes in not understanding. Well, we get lost in thinking, maybe not understanding. We get lost in thinking that there is some magical bar that we have to reach and measure up to before we are allowed to appreciate ourselves and our ability to do things and accomplish things and get through the day. And that's so silly. This is not a track and field race. This is not a pole vault where you say, hey, here's the bar. If you don't get over it, you lose. And if you think of that image in your brain of someone launching themselves through the air and trying to get over this physical bar and they don't make it, then they don't make it. But that's not real life. That's a sport. Your bar can change and move every single day. And I want you to remember that your bar gets to be set at the height you can clear. Your bar gets to be set at the height you can clear. That's something I want you to imply and put forward in your daily life. And what I mean by that is don't set yourself up for failure. Don't do it. We set ourselves up for failure all the time. We say, hey, I want to go to the gym every single day this week. And then we don't. And what happens? Sunday rolls around. You realize you went Monday, Wednesday, and you went for about a half an hour on Thursday. And then you didn't go Tuesday. You didn't go Saturday. You didn't go Friday. You didn't go Sunday. And you say, oh, I'm a failure. I didn't reach my goal. I didn't get there. And you turn your entire mindset to the fact that you've done something wrong. Well, you didn't do something wrong. You got to the gym 3 days this week, and especially if it was 3 days more than last week, you're doing an amazing job. If you say, I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, that's fine. Set out to do it. But don't measure yourself by whether or not you get there. Measure yourself by whether or not you tried, and measure yourself by whether or not you did the things that you needed to do to get through that day. When I said set the bar at the height you can clear, what I mean is every day set yourself up for success. Don't have goals, have targets. If your target is to get to the gym every single day, even if you miss and you don't go all 7 days, if you go 4, You still went to the gym 4 days that week. If you think of the bullseye of a target, it still counts even if you don't hit the bullseye. Anywhere around the target and in the circle still counts. You're still doing productive things. You're still aiming at the correct target. Even if your arrow goes a little bit astray, you're still worthy, and you're still okay, and you're still a good person who deserves to love yourself and be recognized for your accomplishments and your achievements and your success and the fact that you tried. Don't back yourself into a corner and say you're only going to be worthy if you can get through X, Y, and Z. That's just silly. And in the world of conditional love and unconditional love, a lot of times I think also that we get down on ourselves and we kind of walk ourselves to that place of loving ourselves only conditionally and with conditions is when it comes to not feeling motivated. We get up some mornings and we have lots of energy to do stuff and we're happy and we go out in there and we conquer the day and we get to the gym and we get the chores done and we get the kids off to school and we get breakfast made and lunch packed and all the way we get out the door we have a great day at work and things are cruising and going well. And we have other days where we wake up in the morning and we just can't find the motivation to do it. And here's the difficult thing about motivation. You're never going to want to do some things. Some people never want to get out of bed. They just don't. They don't desire getting out of bed. They love to sleep. That doesn't make them a bad person. Some people will never want to go to the gym. Some people will never want to go out and go for a walk or a run. But we do it, and we do it because we're aiming at something better and we're trying to better ourselves. But be kind to yourself when it comes to feeling motivated. I think sometimes we get so hard on ourselves and say, oh, God, I have no motivation to do anything. I'm so lazy. I'm such a slacker. It's awful. But realize that motivation comes in the form of starting and doing one simple task and then allowing that feeling of productivity to carry you to the next task. Sometimes motivation is a myth. Nobody wakes up. Well, okay, I won't say nobody. Some people wake up first thing in the morning and they're ready for the day. But people, for the most part, don't jump out of bed and say, let's go run 26 miles and schedule 28 work meetings and see if I can use 22 hours of my 24-hour day and wear myself out. So motivation comes in the willingness to start and to just keep going once you do start. And remember that if you don't feel motivated, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't mean you are not worthy of your own love or the love of other people. And we compare a lot too. And when it comes to motivation, I said, not everybody jumps out of bed in the morning ready to go to the gym all day or run a marathon or whatever. And some people do. But I think one of the most detrimental things we can do is compare ourselves to other people. You are not them and they are not you. I have been a big fan of this saying, comparison is the thief of joy, for a long, long time. And it is so true. And especially now with social media being so prevalent in everyone's lives, we look at these people and we see these people and we say, oh, I want as many followers as them. And then if you find somebody who has less followers, you're like, oh, well, that's good. But then you find somebody else who has more and you say, well, I want to be like that person. Or if you find someone who's in better shape or you like their hair better, we compare ourselves all the time to different people. And one of the most difficult things about this is so often we have absolutely no idea what is actually going on in their life. We all know by now full well that the social media presence is a very cultivated one. The pictures are retouched. They're taken just so. They have filters applied to them. Most people on social media are putting on a show and putting on the presence that they want to be on social media, which is fine. We all do it. It's just kind of the way social media has come to be. But don't compare yourself to those people that you see, and don't even compare yourself to people in real life. Someone once said to me, oh, I wish that I could do X, Y, and Z the same way you do in the fire department. And I said, I have been here for more than 25 years. You have been here for a year and a half. It does not make you any less worthy. It does not make you any less capable. It just means that in the 26 years that I've been kicking around in the fire service, I've had a chance to do this and practice this a little more often than you. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean you should ever think that that makes me a better person than you, and so they really took that to heart, and they told me it really opened up their mind to understanding that it was okay if they weren't perfect at things the first time around. That's another thing that we do when we love ourselves conditionally, I think. If we're not great at something and we don't do it, hit it out of the park the first time around, we say, oh, well, I guess this isn't for me. And that's so silly and so ludicrous because everything will be bad in the beginning. The first time you ever try to walk, I promise it's bad. The first time every baby tries to figure out how to stand up, they're wobbly on purpose, right? But by the time they get to be 5 or 6, they're not so wobbly. They stand up and walk. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be happy with themselves or be loved when they're a baby. They're learning. The first time you play a sport, the first time you ski, the first time someone asks you to do taxes, think back, whatever age you are, to the first time you had to use a piece of technology. I promise it wasn't super simple. There was a learning curve that went with it. And comparison brings us to this place where we automatically think that we're supposed to be just as good as the other person. And if we aren't, it lowers our self-worth, even if that other person has 20 times more experience than we do in that said given thing, that topic, that sport, that area of expertise, whatever it is. And that's just so silly, so silly. No one wakes up and says, hey, by the way, I think I should be as good of a runner as Usain Bolt. No one wakes up and says, I'm going to go play basketball for the first time today. I'm a 12-year-old kid. I'm not as good as Kobe Bryant. I should just give it up and never play again. You know, Steph Curry was bad at basketball at the beginning, I promise. When he started, even though he started very young, I guarantee the first couple shots he took, he had to learn how to play basketball. And yes, some people are naturally good at things, but everybody has to start somewhere. So don't put that condition on yourself either when it comes to the way you look at yourself and the way you love yourself. Give yourself some grace to be bad at things. Not everybody needs to be a professional guitarist. It's okay if you want to play the guitar as a hobby. You don't need to be the next Beethoven if you want to write music or play the piano. Everybody has a place, and the most beautiful thing about you having a place is that it is your place and your space to exist, and nobody else's. And comparing yourself to other people really takes away from how beautiful and capable you are at the things you are really good at and capable at. And the other amazing thing about this idea is that you, as a person, everybody listening right now, I can guarantee you, you have talents deep down inside you that you have not even unlocked or discovered yet. You are good at things that you have not tried. You have the ability and the capacity and the potential to do amazing things in areas of your life you have never even explored yet. And one day when it happens, it's just going to click and you're going to say, oh, this is it. This is what I was meant to do. Man, this is amazing. I feel so good at this. And when you look at yourself that way, that big aha feeling, that moment right there, I want you to remember this moment if you're listening, and remember that now that you have unlocked that, just keep going. Keep exploring what you're good at. Keep exploring what you love to do. And you don't have to be perfect at it in the beginning. Even the things we are best at and even the things we will come to be phenomenal at, we're not good at in the very beginning. Public speakers, musicians, singers, their first auditions, their first speeches, their first concerts, I guarantee they had to start out somewhere, and it was nowhere near as good as they are right now. So I encourage you to remove that condition as well. Stop saying that you will be happy with yourself or you will love yourself when you are as good at X, Y, or Z as someone else who's much better at it than you. Chances are they started earlier, they've had more practice. Sometimes it's just people are better at different things. That doesn't make your value any lower. It just means you're better at something else than someone else. We also do that. We don't ever look at the backside of the coin. We look at ourselves and say, I wish I could be as good at this activity as this person or this friend of mine or this person I see on social media. But we never flip it the other way. We never say, boy, I wonder how many people wish they were as good at these three things as I am, because I'm pretty killer at those things. Some people will always be great at things without having to try very hard. There's just natural talent in lots of ways. But you have that natural talent too. You just need to uncover what that natural talent is for and what you love so much and what you want to pursue. And you can get to a place where if you take the time to look, there will be other people who look at you and say, gosh, man, I wish I was as good at that as you are. I wish I could do that like you do. I wish I could do these three things with the same energy and gusto and precision that you do them. Man, I wish I could do that. But we don't very often look at it from that angle. We always look forward through the scope of thinking, oh, I'm here and this person's better and ahead of me, and I'll never get there. Turn around every once in a while. Take a glance in your rearview mirror. Look at all the things you've overcome. Look at the growth you've had in all the different areas of your life, and I promise you there are people in this world who think you're pretty dang impressive. I promise. You just have to develop those things, and sometimes you just have to find those people. One of the biggest compliments I've ever had, I think, about speaking came back when I was in high school. We did a program and a presentation for the Anti-Defamation League called the NAMES program, and I gave a speech. And there was a girl in my class who was deaf. She could read lips, but she was deaf. She came up to me after the speech and said, I have never been able to understand someone speaking as clearly as I understood you. She said, your pace and the fact that you move your mouth and make words so well and form them so well and speak so clearly, as a deaf person, I understood your entire speech. She said, and I absolutely loved it. And that floored me because you know what I thought the entire time I was up on stage? Gosh, I wish I could speak as good as the other kids. I was a freshman in high school at the time, or maybe a sophomore, and I was thinking, oh, I wish I could speak like the seniors did. And I had this person come up who had listened to a lot of things in her life and had struggled through lots of them and said, you are better than anybody else here today. And I was floored. I was like, no, I'm not. You know, my speech was mediocre at best, but everybody else was okay. And she said, no. She said, not only was your message beautiful, she said, but I understood you better than I have ever understood anybody else, a teacher, a speaker, an actor, anybody. So I think you will find little things here and there to remind you that there are things you're great at that people look up to you for. And just because you're not good at the other things that you constantly try to live up to or compare yourself to doesn't mean you're not worthy, you're not good at things. It just means you have work to do in some other areas. And guess what? We're going to end on this note. I'm big on giving yourself permission to do things, giving yourself permission to rest, giving yourself permission to say no without feeling guilty, giving yourself permission to do the things you love often enough to remind yourself that you love them and how they make you feel. So when it comes to this, I want you to do one more thing when it comes to permission. Give yourself permission to understand and fully accept that there are some things you will not be good at, and that is perfectly okay. You don't need to be just like everybody else. You need to be just like you. You are what you were meant to be. You are beautiful. You are what the world needs because you are you. The world is such a beautiful place because of all the diversity in it, and the world is such a beautiful and interesting place because we are all different and all good at different things. It would be a pretty boring and pretty monochrome world if everybody had the same skills in every walk of life. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for listening. I wish you all the best. Thank you so, so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.